What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video from Dracon. So if you guys are just joining me for your first time, welcome. If you are my regulars, welcome back, and let's talk about a miniature company from the Wizkids once again. We did this in my older video with my Mage Knight review, and that's where we're going to finally talk about Wizkid products, a little bit more modern, I guess you'd say, because these have been around for some years now at this point, but honestly, I never gave them much thought, or I guess you'd say space of thought or like consideration, because I looked at them at first and I remember reading about it. It was supposed to be like more of an idea of like kid-friendly D&D, and I was like, well, I mean, none of my group mates are really that young. We're all like, you know, old enough that we understand death, murder, all that kind of good stuff, and that makes the story elements that are different. That's why our podcast is for, you know, older viewers, not for children, because like there are sometimes very aggressive, violent tendencies that happen in it. Oh, and while I'm on that subject, just because it came up naturally, if you guys have not checked out our podcast for the Dice and Dummies, do check out that. Currently, we are in our season 2, and currently I play a dwarf known as Thorald Darkbane, the Cleric of Light, and the healing man / light man of our group. And, you know, we travel right now through the gates of hell in a more Dante Inferno-esque style element. So, you know, it's pretty cool. So far, we've got a lot of stuff done. We're hoping more and more of our videos get finished, edited, and put out there. So definitely make sure you guys tune into that. Also, check out season 1, guys. We still do season 1, and that one's fully finished. That one I played Bardus, the great saber-toothed tiger, Tybaxi. That's right, not Leonin, Tybaxi. The biggest of the Tybaxi, baby. And a slight sweetheart, you know, Carry Barbarian. Not your automatically just rage every second. But when I did rage, the Berserker came out. Not getting off the topic of that, back to the video. Today we're going to be going over, like I said, Wardlings. Now, Wardlings, yes, child-friendly miniatures, and what was the advantage of? Well, what made me buy my first one? When I think back to it, I go, man, the first time I bought Wardlings, I actually bought a few of them. Just for the sake of giggles and grabbing a couple because of what they came with. Now, I grabbed the Orc packs, where each of them were a unique style of Orc. And, you know, because I liked Orcs, I guess. Because, you know, you never have too many different unique type of Orcs. Now, when I first bought the Wardlings, you know, I looked at them and said, they looked like just standard miniatures. Nothing special. And I was like, it must be just some new little expansion. I mean, I figured it would be an expansion like a lot of other WizKid products they throw to add D&D. But, you know, looking at it, I thought it was kind of interesting. They had these unique character looks. Like, at first, I'd only seen the heroes. That was probably the problem, was I only saw the heroes. And one of the first villainous monsters was like a troll. And he looked like that go-lucky happy troll from the like old fairy tales. And I was like, not a big fan of it. Like, he looked very happy. Like, he looked like he belonged in a village as a friendly troll than more of a violent, aggressive troll to use as a creature. But over time, I kind of looked past and go, well, I mean, if you needed a troll for that set purpose, it's not the worst thing in the world. And it would work. But then I saw the monsters finally. They got around to finally having some monsters on the shelf, and that's where we started kind of getting a little bit of a unique look at these creatures. And part of it was trolls were no longer what I was worried about. It was these orcs, these elemental orcs like this one. And we'll get a closer look with the camera, but the orcs were what were interesting to me, because they had these like orcs in different types. Like, they had a Mud Orc, Wind Orc, Fire Orc, and then an Ice Orc, and then each of them came with their own unique little creature that worked with them. Like, they had their own unique pet. And honestly, that right there was worth it in itself to get these unique animal minis, because they were their own unique animals. Like, you had Frostworms, a vulture, a giant mud puppy or salamander. I guess, actually, sorry, mud puppy, because it has the little gills coming out the side there. You got like a giant centipede, which is something in the game you can have. They are medium class, so it works. We had dragons, a tree folk. Now let's get the camera going while we talk more. Now, speaking of the bigger creatures, this is one of the few bigger creatures I decided to pick up at that time. And as you can see, he is a tree folk, and he is large class. So we're not talking like a true huge folk or gargantuan tree man, like they would normally be of huge size, but I did like it, because this one kind of says to me, like, hey, they don't have to always be large size. You could use this as a younger tree folk in more of his juvenile age. I mean, I love how he's got a rabbit there on top with a bush ball in his hands. He's about to throw at someone. He's got some birds, squirrels, and all that stuff on him, which is kind of unique because it shows his, like, he's more green, which you don't notice a lot of, like, the larger tree like he's got a lot more shrubbery and greenery, which would make more sense for something lower to the ground. And then maybe as he gets older, he gets more of the large branches coming out. So, you know, get some age dimorphism from their, you know, their like age of stage. Not even mean to make that rhyme. But anyway, I do like his design. It's very whimsical. At the same time as it could be used to be very aggressive. So he is, like I said, he is holding a rabbit on a bush ball, and he's about to throw this at someone. It could be an aggressive attack. I mean, there could be the fact you can pull Monty Python with an aggressive rabbit that leaps off and bites onto the Avenger. It's like, oh, my face, it's biting my nose, or oh. And I do like his design. He's pretty unique, pretty simple, but you know what? It's a nice addition to my miniature library for usage in games. Now, speaking of orcs, here's one of the orcs that literally caught my attention first. The fire orc and the fire centipede, the giant fire centipede. Now, when I grabbed him, this is like one of the first ones that made me reach for Wardlings and start shuffling through them on the wall back in the day when I found them, or that time ago when I like sort of decided to look through there. And I was like, man, these orcs have a unique style to them, but they could be useful as not just orcs. Well, I mean, granted, this one being a fire orc, it's so literally designed to be a fire orc, it's not hard. But the giant centipede, you literally could use for a giant centipede, is that there really aren't many miniatures out there that, other than, like, say, Reaper Bones, Wizkids really hasn't produced any yet, so here you go. It's pre-painted, you glue him onto the base, he is ready to roll. You have no other work to have to do. The same with the orc, you glue him on his base, they're ready to go. Could you touch them up? Well, like most Wizkids miniatures, yes, you could. You could easily touch them up or change them completely. But I kind of like this fire orc there, because honestly to me, a fire orc would be a really cool addition to, like, say, a fire giant battle, where, like, the fire giants call upon their minions for battle minions. Not just their slaves, like, you know, the dwarves who make their armor, but fire orcs. These orcs imbued with the power of their flames, and they carry fire swords and flame shields and have hair, or, sorry, not hair, because it's like a big, oh, sorry, their manes of fire going down their back of from their head, and they would look cool with their red skin to be kind of aggressive. I mean, like, it would make sense that big, strong, burly creatures like that would be something the giants would use for their low-level infantry, so they don't have to do the fighting. But if they have to get involved, they have something that's worthy for them to lead into battle in their mind. So fire orcs are pretty cool. Now, as I happen to be an animals guy who loves to get more animals for his game, here we have the giant mud puppy and the Mud Orc. And no, I didn't say that wrong. It was the Mud Orc. Now, this orc is obviously an orc that either lives in bogs or swamps or muddy areas. Obviously, with his giant salamander or mud puppy, I keep wanting to call it a salamander, but it's really a giant mud puppy. Sorry, I had to take a little swig of tea there. And I really like the salamander. This was really what made me buy this set. Not so much the orc, but I mean, eventually looking at the orc, it took me a while to look at the orc. He's got the kind of Highlander half-split painted face. And then he's got himself like a big old war horn on the back, or a big old orc horn. His armor's not too bad. I could easily see it being used. He's got like some... And then he has like kind of a weapon that I had to look at for a while and thought it was goofy, but then I was like, I kind of like it. His like kind of muddy, but his mud club. I just think it's kind of cute and funny. It's got runes on it. I think it's kind of cool. Just to make him like a unique NPC, or possibly like a character you run into in a game as an enemy, where it's like, why does he get a unique attack? Well, I mean, look at the mini. He's got a mud club. It's like, what does a mud club do? Well, if you knew what a mud club was, you know. Like, oh, surprise, surprise. Your character can't know everything. Like, you know, it gives a nice change. And yeah, even though they're supposed to be like more kid-friendly, this guy screams very similar to just your standard orc. There's not any real blood or like the big old evil eyebrows kind of going, and we get that full aggressive nature right off the bat. But like I said, plus he does come with himself a nice large mud puppy to use to help flesh out the environments, or just maybe another companion one of your group mates might want to have. Really cool. Let's move on to the next one of the wardlings that we happen to get from this group when I decided to buy them, and kind of dive into them a little bit and see if maybe I want more later. So next up here, we have what's called the Wind Orc. Now, I did like the translucent cloud he is floating on. It's pretty cool. Got himself a bow, so he's obviously not like a big old brawny club or slashing orc. But he also does come with a very nice pet as well. As all wardlings do seem to come with pets that are the medium size. They come with 2 minis in the pack, and they come with a character and a pet. And for like usually human ones, they have like battle dogs, battle cats, winged cats, rock creatures. Yeah, one was called like rock creature, which is weird. You know, rock beast or something. But, you know, this one, he came with a vulture, which I never had a vulture mini. So I'll sit there going, man. And I looked on Reaper and stuff. I don't see many vulture miniature options other than Etsy. I'm like, I don't really want to have to actually get one and paint it, because it's a vulture. Like, it's a simple paint job. And I'm like, but then I found this orc when I was sitting there one day, and I go, man, this orc hits that mark of a creature I'm looking for. A simple vulture, plus I get a cool wind orc which honestly, he kind of looks really pointier ear than his normal orc brethren, and you can use him as like an Oni of the Wind if you wanted to kind of make him outside the box. Therefore, multi-use. Maybe he works for cloud giants. He rides on a cloud. Maybe his cloud giant masters gave him a cloud to ride upon so he could fire his volley of arrows, and his pet vulture could feed on the corpses. And, you know, like it's a tandem team, or maybe the vulture's amazing sense of smell could help him find prey for his arrows to find their marks. Like the vulture would fly over and he would, like, you know, focus his attacks there and try to draw them out, and then, you know, pin them down with arrows. A really nice little duo there, and I thought it was pretty cool and pretty nice. So next up we have the Ice Orc and the Frostworm. Now, the Frostworm, I would assume, would probably be like a baby Frostworm, or you could use it as like I think really a juvenile creature that's medium size. But I like, as you can see there, that big translucent ice axe, the giant white ice shield, the cloak of fur on his back, or her. I'm not really sure if it's a he or her. It's hard to tell, like, sometimes they're making female orcs or male orcs. It doesn't always come across easily, but I like the worm there, as you can see. Another cool creature to use for your environment or players, a possible player ally if they wanted to get one. And oh, actually, you know what? I think that's a female. Yeah, I think that's a female orc. I'm just noticing this. I am so sad that I did not look at it before, but I think that's supposed to be a female ice orc. So that'd be pretty kind of cool. We get a female who's got some powers to be like kind of a powerhouse in the Orc and tribes. That's pretty cool. Because when I'm looking at the other ones, none of them strike me as females. So that's pretty cool. We get a female orc that's able to hold her own next to these male orcs and say, hey, I'm a bad, strong mama jamma too. Get out of my way, or I'm going to slash you down and freeze you to death. And then having my worm eat your frozen corpse. Man, that just got kind of dark really quick there. And hold on. Wait. Sorry, I just looked at my freaking Wind Orc, and I think my Wind Orc is a female too. Okay, my apologies. Both of them, I think, honestly, the Wind Orc might be a female too. I think that explains like the long, super long hair, which I don't think orcs normally have, which is really funny because I didn't notice that until now. I did not look these minis over. You can tell I have not looked these minis over since the day I opened them out of the package, put them on their bases, and just set them in a box for the time being. Man, I'm glad I opened it and looked over, because I think I have 2 female orcs and 2 male orcs, which is cool. Like I said, we're getting some variation, because now I have a female orc that's a cool wind cloud riding shooter, and then I have this female orc who's like an ice mage and or an ice battle mage where she can just freeze and frost you while she's slashing and beating you like an orc would do. So man, that's actually really cool. I gotta give Wardlings props. Now that I take a moment to look at them, I'm liking them even more. We're getting some more dimorphisms, some more differences, some more variations. I love it. And now we're gonna get to the last of the Wardlings I bought that time, because obviously of what it is. Now here we have the one that you can obviously guess why I got it, because it's a dragon. Now, I don't see this one available often, and usually if I do this, surprisingly more expensive when I bought it, but it's a cool purple dragon. Now, the great thing about this miniature is it's different style to your normal purple dragons, and since there are kind of known as deep dragons and purple dragons, I would use this more of a deep dragon, because the deep dragon has more of a blunter skull, which this one, as you can see, obviously has. And I gotta say, I do like this dragon. It's very simple. It's only large size, which I've noticed with Wardlings. I do have yet to look up, do Wardlings come in anything bigger than large to medium size? Because I honestly have seen nothing that would tell me otherwise. Because so far, every one of the creature assistants and stuff, they're all like mediums. Maybe they're small, but like nothing that's ever bigger than large. I should look at this, because like I said, I want to get some more Wardlings, even some more of like the hero adventurers, because I get some more adventures of different age looks. Like I can get some teenage looking kids or young looking kids, and they get some cool companion animals that would be just nice to have to add to the wild beast box for me to use for fleshing out my environments. So man, Wardlings, you are very impressive. Even though I don't know if your game is still really in production, like where it's like, you know, still being developed more and more, I gotta say, I think any D&D man worth his salt should at least look into the idea of getting some of these minis, because they are pretty nice. They're well painted. And like I said, when you take a look at them, you sometimes notice things like, for instance, I have 2 now female orcs that are unique and strong looking. So they can stand up next to their male counterparts and say, hey, get out of our way. We're the big bads in this situation. Like, oh, snap. And the male orcs move and say, you're right, my frost lady, or my wind riding bow woman. It's pretty cool. I love this dragon. This dragon I just love. And now, obviously, why would Dracon buy the dragon? Well, I thought he was a pretty cool looking dragon, and I can never have too many dragons. Well, for final thoughts, so these things really cost about the regular price of miniatures. They're a little bit more expensive than your standard medium character packs, where you get like a couple wolves or a couple 2 characters. So they're a little bit more expensive, but in the end, you're getting pre-painted minis, and they hit some good niches for needed to fill minis. So that's pretty cool. Plus, they come with new stuff like these unique sculpts that just make a unique orc, in this situation, orcs, or unique tree folk of different age styling. So they're not all just old people tree folk. You can get some young ones, or unique, or you can call them like bush people because maybe they only are large size and they happen to only look like large brush instead of the trees. And then you got like a deep dragon here, which is cool because I don't really have many deep dragons that I can use for a purple color deep dragon. So it's really awesome. I gotta say, Wardlings, a well done choice for you, Wizkids. Well done. Always nice. And anyway, guys, if you come this far in the video, you must like what I do. So thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Make sure in this case I want to say teen slash that button because the Wardling characters are teens, but we're gonna say ward slash that like button, and help get past that YouTube algorithm by leaving a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.